All right. Without further ado, let's welcome back the man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Baszucki. All right. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. This makes up for our no handshake, our no high five earlier, so perfect. All right. All right, Dave, so I'm really excited for this segment. This is a show I've wanted to do for a while. It is a socially distance-friendly talk show I'm calling Two Ferns Between. So I'm very excited to have you on as our first guest for the Builderman Q&A, and I think we're just going to jump right into it, as I know time will move quickly as we get going. All right, Dave, so this is coming from someone at home. I don't have the dev who asked it. That's probably good. We keep it anonymous, but this is kind of a two-parter. So to start us off, 2021 has seen the growth of brand partnerships. As of now, these partnerships have been confined to ephemeral events. Does Roblox have plans to encourage more permanent brand experiences on the platform?
Yeah, great question. Here's a way to think about it. We're almost in the phase where before we launched Roblox Studio. And I don't know if any of you can remember, Crossroads for a while was the only thing on Roblox. We turned on Roblox Studio, and all of a sudden, Roblox became self-service, and it kind of went exponential. And we're in that phase right now where for brands, it's not quite self-service, but we do think ultimately it's going to explode and be permanent. So just as there's play, just as there's experiences where people come together to hang out and socialize, more and more we think of these brands will start setting up permanent homes on our platform.
This is kind of a follow-up to that question. How does Roblox see itself involved in this process, particularly in connecting brands and developers and encouraging those partnerships going forward?
Yeah, we would hopefully any work on an immersive brand experience would be done by all of you and not by us. And that's where we would want to be. So I think we might work on the connective fabric that allows brands to find and partner with you, but that's not our business. We make the infrastructure and the platform that is hopefully self-service that these run on. There's so much fun stuff that we need to do, right? Search, discovery, how to find these things, how they work, but we're not going to build it. You're going to build it.
Fantastic. All right, moving on in our lightning round here. A few years ago, we saw the removal of the genre filtering feature for experiences. What does the future hold for genres on Roblox?
Wow, okay, good one. I fondly remember the creation of these genres a long time ago. I think a few of the early employees and I came up with them. I think ultimately, if we can imagine how we find things, I'm going to go out there on a limb and say that my hope is genres come back, but they come back in a more automatic way where you feel they're authentic, so that if you're building a wild, trying to remember the original genres, right? Like I think we had Wild West, and I think we had Pirate, and I think we...
Town and City?
Yeah, like Town and City. We would hope that these genres are self-discovering, and we would hope through data science, clustering, ML, we would discover the affinity of these genres. We might have to human label them, but they might get even automatically human labeled, and we would hope you would get that feeling. I think when you play with Netflix, for example, if you get down in their search and discovery, you're going to see some really esoteric things, right? Horror movies for young people, or like weird things like that. So I think this is the future. So I think we're going to have genres again.
Fantastic. All right, next question. Last RDC, there was mention of game ratings coming to Roblox. Can we get an update on this?
Yeah, I shared it in my talk. We call them experience guidelines. The first one will be a 13 plus versus not. We're going to make it as easy as possible for you to help work with us to decide where those things are, and we'll have experiences that are not available to 12 and unders on the platform.
All right, here to mix things up, I hope we can turn to a question either from the audience or from online. I'm unsure how I check in for the folks online. Looks like we do have a question. We're going to start on this side of the stage here. Go ahead and state your name, your username, and go ahead and say your question.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading the online questions.
Oh, okay then.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, Christian.
And Dave. Our first one is from Disty, and they ask, what's your favorite thing about Roblox?
Wow. So thank you, Dissy. Fun fact, the very first, I think we called it, at the Exploratorium, the very first time we did this, we had Q&A, so this is a long tradition. I think the most fun thing about Roblox is it gives me faith in the power of humanity. So it gives me faith. In the early days of Roblox, we would sometimes experiment just to see could we make something good, and we just learned that the creative power of all the humanity is so much greater than ours. It's also very satisfying to interact with all of you. I think this room has some of the most bright, creative, future-looking people in the world. I think this is a better conference for creators and visionaries than I think any other experience creation conference in the world. So it's a privilege to be with you.
Fantastic. It's awesome. All right, jumping back to a question. Do we have one on this side at all? We do. Let's go ahead and have you state your name and your question.
Hi, I'm Zach from New York City. I go by Builderman on the platform. I'm the creator of Lua Learning, and during this keynote, we mentioned how we want to have educational content in the metaverse, and I'm curious how we're going to bring educational content onto Roblox, because there's currently little to no incentive to do so.
Yeah, so a couple thoughts on this. When we, at my prior company, Knowledge Revolution, we sold directly into education, and when we had this Roblox vision, we were very hopeful that by building a wide-ranging, super high-quality, free consumer product, there'd be more educational value than what we had been doing in the past, and I think that's already come to pass. So things that I've been hoping for and thinking for a while. First off, search and discovery for education. I mean, I'm not going to say when we're going to ship it, but I'll share something I'd like to see, which is a whole area on Roblox for learning, computer science, physics, biology, all of that. So there's a great place to discover this. I am very interested in the extent to which, in addition to Roblox Studio, there is access to whatever we might call the Lua infrastructure within a Roblox game itself, whether that's editing, executing, the machinery needed to make that happen. So it is going to happen. I can't say when, and please keep sharing your vision with us.
But I do want to give a shout out. You have an awesome game. Lua Learning is fantastic. So thanks for your work, Boat Bomber. Really, good stuff. All right, let's continue with our live questions if that's working. We'll jump over to this side. Go ahead and state your username, your name, and go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my username's this, and from Dallas, Texas. My question for today is, VIP servers are currently used for players to connect with their friends privately, like independent of people just randomly joining their game. And I'm just, here to ask, will there be global, kick, ban features like that for VIP servers across the platform?
Yeah, I think this is all about, the story of Roblox is all about thinking we can do things well, and then making the leap to platform and developers, and then finding out they can do it so much better. And so we've had a history of things in the past that we've moved from us to platform. I think community management, whether it's for a whole game and experience or for a VIP server, is something we need to make more available to you. I'm very hopeful we can do this in elegant and universal ways. Someday there may be an area for different community management tools on Roblox that you could plug into your VIP server or into your place. It would be wonderful if the APIs in Guilded and other social platforms use the same APIs, so the community management you might use in your Guilded server is the same you might use in your VIP server. So a lot of thinking about that, and we know we need to do more there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump over to a pre-submitted question, though, and make sure we answer these. Coming in hot here, Dave. Moderation is often a pain point for us. Change the way they used pain there. For us developers on the platform, what should we expect to see for the future of moderation as Roblox continues to grow and scale?
Yeah, I think this goes along. I mean, we can imagine someday some of you with very large communities and experiences wanting to take on more and more of that and decide how much of what we do is there versus how much you do. So following on the riff on VIP servers, figuring out the infrastructure. So out of the box, everything's moderated, everything follows our standard guidelines, but you can take it over. Something we're actively thinking about.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Now let's jump back into the live question. Let's go to this side of the room. Go ahead and state your name and your question.
I'm from Roseville, and my question is, I'm a huge fan of the creative process, and both you and Ed in your talk emphasized combining arts and technicality. What are some of your favorite instances where these two fields have really come together?
I think you all do it every day, right? Every online experience has some amount of technical aspects to it. You know, there's certain technical things that are hard to do. We have to write code, we have to think about scaling, and they also involve characters and creation and storytelling. So I think you all do it every day. I think within the company, there are project after project where when we solve something technically very difficult in a very elegant way, it feels like art to us. So I would say many examples, like I think we're on our second or third physics engine now, and the elegance of the solution and the scalability of the solution is really quite artistic. I think the elegance of our lighting system, which is physically based rather than traditionally based, is very, very exciting. So I think we see these internally in that way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn back over to a pre-submitted question for you, and this is a big one, Dave. What does the word Metaverse mean to you specifically, and then what does that mean for Roblox as a company?
Yeah, this Metaverse term has been around for a long time. I think right when we started Roblox and the web was in its infancy, I think there were several companies called Metaverse even 15 or 18 years ago, and the URL was used. So this is a fairly broadly used term. I think it's a little bit of a overall term right now that's being used a little broadly across a wide range of things: software, hardware, interactive things. So it's fairly widely used and may even be overused. I mean, we've heard the term enterprise metaverse now. That's like a sign that it's getting really broad. I think for us, we're very true to our vision of what we want to build, and we're always just thinking, what is our Roblox vision? And then this label has happened to sit on top of it as a public way of describing it. Our vision is those 8 key elements that I shared in my talk.
Got it. Fantastic. So a series of tubes. I get it. All right, jumping back over to this side of the room. Go ahead and state your name and your question. Looks like we got one from online.
Yes, we might want to hit the spot twice just so that we can do
We'll get that one twice. That's
cool.
good
So
call.
I have 2 questions coming from Swinzer. The first one is, what is your biggest aspiration for the future between RDC 21 and 22? And then following that, Roblox is already very supporting of the LGBTQ community. How does Roblox envision the future to support diversity on the platform more?
Yeah, so first I'd say vision for the next year is really, it's heavily around people, and it's heavily around, as we carry our vision forward, are we finding the right people who then can work in amazing teams and groups, who then can work on all of the technology that powers Roblox and all of the support for that. And internally in the company, we have a fun saying that we don't work on Roblox, we work on the people and systems that build Roblox. It's like in calculus, the first derivative. So we're working on a derivative or 2 higher, and if we get that right and we figure out how teams, as Ed shared, can make mistakes and take the long view and take big technical risks, I think then there's amazing opportunity. I think for all the communities on Roblox, it's much bigger than any one community, and it's about having an environment where everyone's treated with respect, with civility, where we have really zero tolerance for bullying or the types of behaviors that we don't like to see. And I think by leading with this, we've gotten into a wonderful place right now where I don't care who you are, who your avatar is, I think our goal is you're treated with respect. And I think there's a future where we're actually trying to make that even better than where we are right now. So I think there's a core value, respect the community, everyone on the platform, and we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, I think it ties in even to some of the avatar and this come as you want, express yourself, and build a community as you want to do it. So fantastic. All right, let's get another one from this side of the room here as we're going to double up here.
Hi, I'm Danny, Clerk of Art.
Hello.
I'm Rush. I go by RushX on Roblox, and we are UGC creators.
So we were wondering, with the anticipation of public UGC coming, is there any plan of how moderation would be dealt with regarding people stealing assets or meshes?
Yeah.
As we have the clothing catalog issue for a while.
I think behind the scenes, for 15 years when we've been talking about UGC for everyone, we've been thinking about this. And I think that in the early days, we always talked, what are the various things at our disposal? Is it going to be locked down? Is it going to be crypto? Are we going to use social mechanisms to protect this? In the real world, the way it works is, you go to court and you have a way of jurisdiction over this. I think the only reason we haven't had UGC for everyone sooner is we're building out the systems to do that, and it falls apart if we don't do it right. So stay tuned. We will not have a race to the bottom. To make a thriving UGC community work, we need to respect intellectual property, and that will be part of the system.
Fantastic. Awesome. Going back to a pre-submitted question here, Dave, here's a fun one that folks will get, I think, enjoy. Why did the use of the term experiences supersede the word games?
Yeah, so this was fun, right? Lots of fun news around this. Whatever. So if we roll back the clock to the very first release of Roblox, we actually, that menu said places, I believe. And from very early on, when we launched, we were thinking of these as places or experiences. I think somewhere along the way, some very great growth people, high five, figured out that the word game was easier for people to understand than place, and so we switched to game. So we've been talking about this experience thing going backwards for a long time. As you correctly noted, it happened at an interesting, fun time where there's a little press about it, but this was in the works for quite a while.
Fantastic. All right, let's jump back to some live questions here. I'll jump to this side of the room. Go ahead and state your name and your question.
Hello, I am Greg Tame, and I do VR stuffs. And my question is, where does VR fit into the future of Roblox's vision?
Yeah, it's an integral part of it, and we like to use the metaphor that I can remember it. Maybe some of you can't remember it, but what used to be the mobile web on a phone was very different than the web on a computer. It was some cheesy mobile web version thing. And so a phone was essentially unusable to browse the web. With Apple's iPhone pinch and zoom, it was the very first time that a company said, look, this exact same content is going to work big screen, laptop, or phone. And we're going to have universal content that's going to be available on a phone with pinch and zoom. It's the exact same way we think about the 3D interactive, physically simulated Metaverse avatar stuff that we build on Roblox. And that is any device, any camera, any user input control needs to access the Metaverse. And then as we all know, we have a phone experience. The VR experience is the most immersive experience ever. When I I've gone into some Roblox places that I built 10 or 12 years ago. When I go in there on a VR headset, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is a whole new deal. So it's a huge, bright thing. It's a core part of what we're doing. We have been focusing so heavily on performance and mobile quality. We've said, let's go quality first, mobile first. But I think it's safe to say VR is big, and you're going to see stuff happening there. Thanks.
That's very excited. All right, thank you. Dave, I want to check in with you. We're now 20 minutes in. How you're doing, needing some water, need a break. How you feeling?
With you, I feel great.
Great. With you guys, he feels great. That's what he's saying. Glad your hands aren't too sore yet. All right, let's jump back over to this side of the room here. Looks like we got a question from someone. Can't wait to find out.
Hello there. My name is CJ Oyer. Actually, I'm going to have to. And as some of you may know, I grew up on Roblox. It was a huge part of my life growing up. And a lot of that was possible because I joined when I was 10, but by the time I was 11 or 12, I had made a game which hadn't got to the front page. And that was inspiring me. That sort of lit a fire in me, which led me to keep making games and got me to go to college to make games, got me to make games as a career now. And that's like a very important part of me. And I'm wondering if now that Roblox is so big, do you have advice for people who are just starting out like I was back then on how to continue to make it in this kind of very competitive world that we're in now?
Yeah, I think if we do search and discovery right, that vision should continue. And we've done a lot of work on personalized search and discovery. We're starting to get into auto discovery. We would like to emulate that same experience you had where, because there's such a broad range of people on Roblox right now, there's a lot of opportunities to self-discover content, even though there's so many more people. So I'm hopeful that we're still going to be able to offer that experience. And when someone like you makes a really interesting experience, maybe even if it's only for 0.01% of the people on Roblox, that 0.01% of the people is enough to get you some momentum. So a lot of work there, and I'm optimistic about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, CJ. I think this is a great time to actually jump to one of our submitted questions on somewhat of a similar topic. Dave, how do you feel about larger external studios and even publishers beginning to explore Roblox as a platform? Do you think this will help or harm our veteran developers?
Yeah, well, I think the really great developers are in this room right now. So I think that's why I'm not too worried about it. I think the only reason large studios will come on the platform is they see the maturity of it. They see, okay, can a large studio do a project that could make $50 million a year? We're getting to that point. So I think it's a health check on the ecosystem. But I think the ecosystem is gonna be more than big enough to support both large studios and the incredibly creative people here, many of whom will ultimately have better studios than traditional large studios.
That I believe.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump back over to this side of the room and go ahead and ask a question.
Hello, I am Jaden. I go by the username Noble Draconian on the platform. Part of Roblox's vision with worlds is to have these super large immersive maps. You can get in them and feel like you're in the world. However, currently smooth terrain has a lot of scalability issues. The selection region has a size limit. If you go to read and write, a ton of voxels, studio crashes. I was sort of wondering what the plan is with smooth terrain and how you plan to make it more scalable in the future.
Yes, basically. We need to fully optimize GPU, CPU, memory, bandwidth on every client. And we need to fully optimize these 32 and 64 core servers we have all around the world in the cloud. And what that gets into, and I think you'll hear more about it, is we will get to a point where every world streams. We know right now there's still some technical stuff, but we're focusing very, very heavily on that. We will get to a world where you can never crash the client. We will get to a world where even if you have a 1,000 by 1,000 mile, giant experience with thousands of people, you're going to run that on a phone. As we set our goals for this year, one of the primary arcs in the company is essentially perf and scalability, which is a little bit back to our Roblox roots. So we know it. I'm deep in the middle of it. It's very passionate and near and dear to us.
Thank you.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, we have a question online. I think it's time to get them into the loop here. All right, we'll do a double header on this side of the room, online and in person.
All right, from VSOM, Dave, who is your biggest inspiration?
Wow. Besides Justin? We look, we're really inspired by innovators. And it's not just me, I think it's everyone in the company. People who take big risks and do big things. So I would say Walt Disney's a huge inspiration to me. I think what Disney did in the 40s and 50s and 60s time and time again is very inspiring to me. There's a lot of other great innovators out there in the computing world and other things, but that would be one.
Fantastic. And we'll go ahead and get one more in person on this side of the room.
Hi, my name is Lynn, Seafoam Wolf on the platform. I work with Super Social on Ghostopia. And for all of us at Super Social, the metaverse is a main driving factor. Our vision of the metaverse has to do with more interconnected experiences. Are those a part of Roblox's vision? And will there be any more features in the future to support it?
Yeah, I think, as Ed so correctly said, if we can imagine it, we should be possibly working on it. I think in a grid of interconnected experiences, the ability to maintain persistence across them, the ability to smoothly go from place to place, these are all technical things we have to solve. Teleports should be seamless and immersively 3D. As we start to build out more cloud server scripting and persistence, you should be able to carry things with you. So I would say yes, we have to build this.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, here, jumping back over to a pre-submitted question. I've nicknamed this card Taking the Longest View. Dave, where do you see Roblox in the next 10 years, 20 years, and beyond?
Hard to say. People always think, oh my gosh, the technology is running so fast. Everything's going to change in a year or two. Ed has been playing with VR for 50 years. I played with it in 1989 at VPL with Jaron Lanier, back when this was SGI irises and 2 computers. And so some of these things, even though they seem like they're happening really quickly, take a long time. I think long term, those things we can imagine are just going to happen. So the 50,000 person photorealistic concert is going to happen. It's hard to know when, but I'm hoping I'm going to see it, in that 10 to 20 year period.
Great. Now I'm actually going to double up on another question because we just heard about the future, but let's talk about the past. Dave, what was the most difficult part of your journey from starting a small company with few experiences to running a now huge publicly traded company with thousands of employees and millions of experiences?
I mean, it's not always easy, and there were times when I can remember maybe having a 4 or 5 day period where I was constantly thinking, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, this is so difficult. Luckily, it only lasted for 4 or 5 days, but there's been those times. I think a lot of times if you can stay in the game, just stay in the game, there's something to that. We've had fun times, we've shared times in the past before we had the virtual economy where it was a little scary because users were going up, but everyone was kind of getting bored with Builders Club and, so money was going down. And we did some things that a lot of companies do is just like, okay, what's the list of the 20 tactical things we can do? None of which really worked until we said, okay, the community, system, economy, and then we knew and we had that feeling like this would solve it. So I think there will be more of those experiences for us. I'm hoping we turn that into systems that leverage the community rather than trying to fix it ourselves.
And I want to add a follow-up for myself. Do you have any advice for the young entrepreneurs out here starting their own companies? What kind of advice do you have for them as they're just getting going?
I would say vision and people. So find amazing people to work with and then have a vision that intuitively feels like your own. Take some risks. If you have the luxury of the ability to do some wacky, risky things, I would advise that. That's really been Roblox vision and people.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, let's jump back to some live questions. I'm seeing quite a line on this side, so let's go ahead and ask one here. Go ahead and state your name and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Camille. I go by the username RoboCambot and work on Murder Party in Roblox. I was wondering if you have ever had any experiences in your daily life outside of your job where people recognize you or like they realize that you work on Roblox and go, oh, wow, my children play that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I've now, because I'm so intense into the work that there's a fun intensity privacy balance, and I would say that I've stopped wearing Roblox t-shirts when I go to the airport and stuff. So, to kind of like have a little privacy at times. I do start running into people now. And my wife's involved with philanthropy. She went out to a big philanthropic meeting, and she met with a bunch of other people who all wanted to talk with her because their family all plays Roblox. So it's it's kind of interesting. But I tend to be maybe, I'm not out trying to get publicity, but it is kind of starting to show up.
Thank you so much. And I'm seeing a long line here. Some people will do one more question from this side of the room here, if that's all right, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. I'm Tired77. I worked on the Wild West. So I had a question. So we love making like immersive experiences, and the new technology lately with like lighting and materials is awesome. However, we've still found ourselves a little bit limited artistically in terms of like the emotions that we can convey due to limitations with like lower level like shaders and post-processing effects. So I was wondering if you guys had any plans to give us a little bit more like direct visual control over that, or alternatively more effects that are common in the industry.
This is super interesting, and it goes to the difficulty of what we're trying to do. And there's a story in the early days of our Roblox experience. We had a room where Eric and I would go on eBay and try to buy the worst computers we could find. And we had this room of the worst computers. We had a P3700, which I think ran some weirdly archaic Windows ME thing back there. And for a while, we could run Roblox on that. So fast forward to today, we're always trying to balance what would run on an iPhone 8, for example, versus what's going to run on a super high-end machine. I think as part of our performance and scalability thing, what we're going to do a little bit more and more is say, for that type of artistic control, does that work all the way into the core of the low mid-range type device? And do you have that control there? I think another thing to think about is the more that control could come from custom materials rather than traditional gaming things, the more it could come from physical things. Like we want to build our own version of wood, or we want to have the right types of lights. I think that we'd like to try to do that as much as we could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jumping back over to a hard-hitting pre-submitted question. Dave, there's been an increase in what feels like a gradual phasing out of the classic Roblox character types, as shown by our focus on Arthro and beyond, and the removal of blocky characters from many promotional materials. Despite this, it seems like majority of users still like their classic types. I am wondering what the reason for this is, and whether there are any plans to keep classic bodies supported. in the future?
Great question. Scary question. I mean, we've gotten pretty far with classic blocky, as I mentioned. The vision for what we're building has to be you can build an experience in any style. You could build Hello Kitty world or super photorealistic world or anything in between, and we have to support you. And anyone needs to be whoever they want to be. That means any avatar, whatever. So what does that mean for classic blocky? I think there's a huge respect for classic blocky. It will almost imagine in a future world, it will be its own, whatever we call it, genre or class of avatar. You can imagine over time some experiences, as I said, that morph everyone into classic blocky. You can imagine experiences that are come as you are. Wreck-It Ralph or Ready Player One. Everyone's avatar is this crazy, it's whatever you want. And there will be then some experiences, whether it's a military simulator or some fashion design thing, where everyone generally morphs into a more consistent thing. So I think we're going to try to build the infrastructure almost like a giant telecommunications bus, where avatar with a giant category of classic merging into those experiences with control by the creator.
Great, thank you so much. All right, let's jump over here to hopefully 2 more questions. One in person and maybe online.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My name's Cody, or Chaotic Cody on Roblox, and I've always enjoyed dabbling with procedural geometry. And at the moment on Roblox, it seems like there's no way to actually create this geometry at runtime. Are there any plans in the future for any infrastructure or APIs in this section?
Wow, near and dear to my heart. Remember 14 years ago, we almost built a Lua part that would almost have like X, Y, and Z and auto-generate based on those 3 parameters. So like the idea was, could we have a cactus that you could resize, and like as you resize it, more limbs start popping out of the cactus. So that is one that I'm sure we will have someday and is worth revisiting. I love that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And do we have questions online? And could you give me a sense of how many online questions we have? A lot of
Many.
Many, okay, good. All right, we'll keep moving along. Go ahead then.
All right, this one is from Dim-Witted Sorcery. They ask, do you want Roblox to expand the physical presence with more offices around the globe?
We'll see. We've had this interesting thing over the last 18 months where we've had to all go remote, and we're slowly starting to trickle back. I think it's worked really well because we had a lot of community capital of relationships that we'd built over 14 years. But I think we want to be careful how much we tap into that. So we do want to get back together for the creative process. At the same time, we are hiring more people in different parts of the world. We've gone from 5% remote, I think, to 15% remote. And at some point, if we start to have a lot of people in one area, organically, maybe there's a location there, but it's early to say.
Great to hear. All right, let's just jump back over to this side of the room and ask another live question.
Yeah, so my username is EvanBear1, and my question is just, you've said in the past that the vision of Roblox is to really allow players to play in any way, on any platform, on really any device. So is there any plan to add, more device support, so like Nintendo Switch or PlayStation? Maybe what are the things holding you back from doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say even with 1,300 people, we still have to make decisions on quality and performance versus range of devices. We're getting to the point where I believe we're going to have the scale to expand that. And I think consistent with that metaphor that 3D immersive, physically simulated stuff in the cloud with avatars should run anywhere, I think we could imagine a future phone, tablet, piece, computer, consoles. What are the consoles? Set-top TV boxes. What are those? VR devices. What are those? It's hard to imagine Roblox on a watch, but maybe gilded or some part of that. So I think yes, yes, yes.
Is there any plan for maybe like Linux support for Roblox or Roblox Studio?
That one, that's so interesting. I think the place we're looking for Roblox Studio is Chromebooks. And I think there's some thought around how we would do that. Unrelated to that, consistent with the open cloud talk we gave today, we'd like it to be possible to build a Roblox Studio Lite version as a Roblox game. So that's kind of a real mind stretcher. That's a Roblox experience that can push and pop, that can publish, that can do all of that. And it's kind of a test case for how good our APIs are. So keep your eyes open for that.
Great, thank you so much. And just doing a quick check-in again. We're in our final 20 minutes, so get your questions in if you got them. Dave, hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great, because we're going to keep on going. All right, this next one's a heavy hitter. As a pre-submitted question, how is taking Roblox public helped developers?
Yeah, I think it's helped developers because we are in a little bit of a symbiotic ecosystem, and the better our technology, the faster our platform will grow, and the faster our platform will grow, the bigger the overall economy. So one of the key reasons supporting going public is a lot of transparency. You can all read our numbers, you can all read our financials, transparency in the value of our stock price, and it's helped a lot with recruiting. So people, can make a prediction, can join us, and we've seen amazing recruiting. The people we're bringing on the Roblox team are absolutely amazing. We have an incredibly high standard for what is Roblox compatible. I think you're seeing some of the signs of that with my talk and with Dan Sturman's talk.
Yeah, I think even I have a little on this too. I've seen a very legitimizing effect on devs. So if you're looking to raise your own VC funding, kind of expand your studios, you are a sought after talent as well. So, all right, one more coming from the folks in pre-submitted. Thought we'd get out a nice friendly one here. Or maybe it's a hard hitter. Dave, previously you mentioned starting up a Bloxy Cola energy drink brand that would be sold at gas stations and Walmart. Quote, could this actually happen?
I think consistent with how we view devs and creators, time and time again, we would rather that be one of your sodas rather than ours. So I think...
We're learning cola. It's coming. Be ready.
Yeah. So maybe one of my predictions is which one of the creators on Roblox has their own cola. Because Roblox, we want to be the foundation of that, but not that cola.
Fantastic. All right, let's jump into someone online here, as I know we got a lot of questions to go. We'll get one of those in.
Oh, yeah. All right, this one's from Mario Dillon. They ask, when can we expect UGC to be used by devs to create their own community-made events like the Egg Hunt?
Yeah, great question. We should not be creating events, so it's that simple. This is an area where you all should be creating the events. We're deeply looking into that this year. I've seen it on the roadmap. I can't make any predictions of when that will happen, but that is the vision.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, we need the tools to do it, and we'll be there. All right, jumping over to this side of the room. Go ahead, state your name and your question.
Hi, I'm James. My username is Clinty. Most games and 3D experiences in the industry don't have amazing accessibility stories. What does Roblox's accessibility story look like in the future?
Yeah, we've got a team inside now, if you can believe it, looking into accessibility, which is awesome, and they're awesome. And from what I've seen, it's around the things we can imagine: color, user input, how do I control. I don't know if we've announced on Xbox, easier ways to access dialogue box, like a lot of stuff like that. So this is a hot topic, and we're working on it. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to jump to a pre-submitted question. Dave, I've noticed Roblox has acquired multiple companies, with Gilded being the most recent. How do these companies fit into the future plans of Roblox as it continues to acquire more companies?
Yeah, so we're in a unique position where to get to 1 billion people on the platform, we don't have to bolt on a separate company. And that's a really exciting position, because we can then take a long vision, iterate, We used to have company meetings where there was 1 million monthly actives. Now we're in the 200 million monthly zone. And I think we can keep iterating to 1 billion and beyond. So unlike a lot of other companies where to grow, they have to get into some new business and buy something, we don't have to go there. So the companies we buy typically have amazing people. They are experts in certain types of amazing technology, and you've seen it with the Lumi team. You've seen it with some of the other things we've bought. And then with Gilded, it was really a special acquisition because our belief is there's a class of products, you might call them social communication community products. We know a lot of products in that area where they complement immersive 3D metaverse products, and we're excited to have them under the same roof so we can work together. As we talked about moderation, as we talked about the way these systems work together, it's an exciting opportunity for us to innovate there. So those are the two general classes of things.
Fantastic. Let's jump back over to some online questions here. We're going to be doing some live back and forth here to get through some of these.
All right, cool. This one comes from Rook Vanguard. Are there plans to allow Roblox games, are there plans to allow games made in the Roblox engine to be published to other storefronts such as Steam or Google Play?
Yeah, we've thought about this one for a long time. When you think about what that would be, it would most likely have to be essentially the Roblox client shrink wrapped with just one game, because so much of what a Roblox game is the connection between that experience or game and the cloud and to the social graph and to the economy and to the safety and civility things. So we don't have any plans right now. We would never say never. We've thought about technically what that would look like. There is an advantage right now to having a single client, so as people go from place to place, they don't have a new download, and no plans, I'd say.
Great. All right, let's jump over to another live question here from this side of the room.
Hi, I'm Ayu, or with my alias Nepal. I'm the co-owner of Wandering Spirit and Forest Friends. And as a programmer, I have a question in mind. I have two questions in mind. Number one, with the advent of Luau, is that how you spell it? Oh, okay. So after, Lua 6.1 was actually, you had Lua 6.1 for most of the Roblox lifetime as your main scripting language. And once you made the change to Luau, a lot of additions, there was a lot of additions and optimizations that you were able to do. So so the first question is, why did you choose Lua as the scripting language for Roblox?
Yeah, so this goes back to the genius of Eric Castle, really. And it goes back to the very early roots of Roblox, where I was naively working on Roblox Studio and some parts of the Roblox engine, and getting a little more into a weird hard-coded place, which wasn't a good place. You can remember flag stands, for example. And there are other things built in that, looking back, it's like, whoa. Eric had the genius of, well, we got to go much more generalized. We need a lightweight, hyper-portable language that can reflect, that can do objects and properties, that can send events. And Lua was by far the lightest, best choice for it. What you see now, though, and we've actually worked with the creator of Lua, is we're going to take this to the next level, both as far as performance, both as far as types, both as far as portability, and use it as kind of our Roblox flair for what you run in the cloud, what we run in many different places. And I think you'll see us giving back to the community in an interesting way that I'm not sure I can announce here, that I think you'll really like when we do it.
All right. And my second question is, you've heard of Roho, the plugin, and that you could connect to Studio and allows you to use environments like VS Code or Sublime. So And I heard you're making big changes to the script editor in Studio. So, for example, Studio doesn't have like smart autocomplete, such as some plugins that or extensions that VS Code has. So, what are your visions to?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. Autocomplete's getting really, really good. So number one. Number two, a lot of the stuff that I think people are going to want, which goes above and beyond pushing and pop. You know, right now it's like, okay, I can get a Roblox file, then I need someone to rip it apart or put it back together again, and so there's tools for that. I think you'll see us giving more than access to a Roblox file. You'll start seeing object access through our APIs as well, the ability to pull out individual objects, modify them, and push them back. So I think a lot of what you're looking for, you're going to see with our cloud APIs. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Look for some folks around. They'll answer even more questions later. All right, folks, we are actually in the final 10 minutes here, so we're going to take a handful more questions. Otherwise, we are at the end of our 1 hour long Q&A with Dave. But to speed things along, let's jump over to another online question, and we'll come back to another live one.
Okay, this one's from 89.5. Are there plans in the future to have programs such as the Accelerator program outside of the US?
I believe the future is there's never anything that's US only. So I think we have to imagine that with more than, well, I believe roughly 60% now outside the US, everything we're doing, we're thinking globally. And so I'd say yes.
Great. All right, let's try to get through some of our live questions. One more over here.
Hello, my name is Max, or Maximum ADHD. And I was wondering if Roblox is eventually going to provide official documentation for their lower end, like binary format specifications, like the mesh format and like the format for models and places.
Yeah, I would say we have to do that. I would say one of the reasons we would have to is as we open up our cloud APIs, you should be able to push and pull those objects into your place. And we would want you to be able to procedurally, you know, we joke about the science project where you write a bunch of Python code and you push a button and every 5 minutes it dynamically updates your Roblox place with every type of objects, and it's pushing models and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'd say yes, yes, yes.
Did the same with C#, but all right.
Yeah. Or C# or JavaScript or Java, whatever you want for your kind of language to build your tools.
All right, I got one more submitted question here I want to go through, and then we're going to try to just go rest of them live. All right, Dave, since the ruling of the lawsuit between Epic and Apple, what should developers expect? Will they get a bigger cut?
Yeah, so that's a great one, right? I've been on the news and talked about this one a lot, and what we always say is, A, we're great partners with Apple. B, they've actually started to define in their mobile app specifications a class of Metaverse type apps that involve creativity and in effect welcoming platforms like Roblox to the iPhone. And at the same time, we run the leanest business we can to move as much of the economy back to the creative community. So, you know, if and when there's motion on that 30% cut, it's not the kind of thing where we want to put it in the Roblox bank account. We want to pass that through to the developer community.
Great, guys. I think we have, all right, we got some applause on that.
So I think I mean, without making any comment on Apple or Google, you know, they're great partners. I believe you can look at our financials and see the relative size of the money that goes through those fees versus what goes to our developer community and see the opportunity there.
All right, folks. Unfortunately, we only have time for one more question, so I want to make sure we do it live from the folks standing over there. Go ahead and state your name and your question to bring us home.
Hi, I'm Eric. My username is now do the Harlem Shake. Over the years, there's always going to be people that are very nostalgic for old Roblox. You know, people say, like, I miss Roblox in 2016, I miss Roblox in 2010, whatever. I wanted to ask for you, is there like an era of Roblox that you are nostalgic for?
Yeah, I mean, the very first version of Roblox, you could take a brick and stick it on your leg, and the collision detection screwed up, and you would fly. And that was like that was pretty fun. And then there was a magical time where we had no security, and you could reflect anything from the client back to the server and just screw the crap out of everything, So in a sense, it was fun to have that balance of that creative roots, and hopefully we never lose that, and that we're doing that same creativity and taking some risks in other places, because we made it through. We made it through that time where 1 in 12 Roblox games I went to had been hacked for a week, and figure that out. So I'm hoping we're generating that nostalgia every year, and in 10 years we look back to now and we're nostalgic as well.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you for that question, Dave, and thank you for that answer. And Dave, I just want to say, I want to give you a big round of applause from everyone here. I mean, this is fantastic. I thank you again, Dave, Mr. Builderman. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.